Good morning. First and foremost, thank you for taking time this morning to come over here. We know you didn't have a lot of notice, but unfortunately sometimes when things occur in our community, we don't have a chance to prepare like we want to. So this morning we stand together. And I'm certain that there are others who are not here today that if they could be, they'd be standing with us. Today this joint news conference has been called as a sense of urgency. A sense of urgency to address some of the recent gun violence that has taken place in our community. We've had an opportunity to do some planning on Monday, but unfortunately another tragedy occurred on yesterday. That brings us here. This morning you're going to hear from Anthony Cobb, the Chief of Police of the Champaign, City of Champaign, Pat Connolly, Urbana Police Chief, Dan Walsh, Champaign County Sheriff, Patricia Avery, the NAACP President, Tracy Parsons, Director of Access Initiative, and Reverend Charles Nash, who's the pastor of the New Hope Church of God in Christ. Today we stand together.
Good morning. As the Chief of Police for the City of Champaign, I'd like to thank everyone standing here with me this morning as we talk about this issue. We have a group made up of law enforcement chiefs, state's attorney, as well as concerned community activists, community members, and clergy. Our condolences go out to the family and friends who have lost loved ones in the past week. We are all saddened and angry about the 3 tragedies that occurred within our community. This is a call to action for the entire community, and parents must have a real conversation with their children about the dangers of firearms. Today we stand here together to address gun violence, and we're asking community members to unite and work together to stop gun violence. In the past 2 months, officers have seen an increase in gun violence, as well as young people intimidating violence with fake guns. This is not acceptable and cannot be tolerated. If you are a gun owner and children have access to the area and where you keep your weapon, we're asking that you inventory your weapon. Is it secure? If you're missing a weapon, we're asking you to call law enforcement. And parents, as you speak with your children, if you come in contact with weapons, please call law enforcement. And if for some reason you don't feel safe to call law enforcement, please, individuals standing here are willing to assist. Contact a local clergyman out of this group who will be willing to talk with you and assist and see what we can do to keep our community safe. At this point in time, I turn it over to Chief Connolly.
Good morning, everybody. I am really encouraged to see how quickly Anthony was able to get this group of folks together. You know, I was at his community meeting last night, about 100 people in Urbana. Just out of curiosity, I asked them to raise their hand to tell me how many of them have sons, daughters, or grandkids. Almost all of them raised their hand. And then I said, now, that same question, how many of you know whether or not they possess a firearm? And not one of them could share any information about whether they do or don't. So my message this morning is I'm asking everybody out there, this is not a Champaign problem or an Urbana problem, this is a community problem. We need to work together as a community. My message is I am asking everybody to talk to their kids, talk to their grandkids, talk to their friends, to find out whether or not they are in possession of a firearm. And if they are, we need to do some things to either get it secured or make sure that nobody else gets hurt as a result of it. So I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Thank you all for coming, especially the community members, because we can't do this by ourselves. We've got to have the support of everybody in the community. I'm going to ask Sheriff Walsh to step up.
Thank you. Good morning. I want to ask everybody in the cities, in the counties, if you've got guns in the house, right now, today, check them, make sure they're safe for the kids. That's your job as a gunman, to make sure they're safe. Mom and Dad, you got another job. You got to know what's in your kids' rooms, what's in the cars that they're using. Older brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, you need to know who your kids are with. You need to know what they're doing. you can use peer pressure, or sometimes even more, you need to step in and do the right thing. If the kids have guns, take them away, make the guns safe. If you're not comfortable with the weapon, we're telling you now, call 911. We will have a police officer or a deputy come out there, we'll make the gun safe, we'll take it away where it won't pose a threat to you or the family. It's hard to be a parent. It's a lot of work to raise a young person. We've all got to be involved. That's why all these people are up here with different interests. Our interests are all the same. It's the safety of our kids in the community. We don't want another kid senselessly killed. We don't want another young person's life ruined and a family destroyed. Now's the time for you, if you're a gun owner, to step up and do the right things. One last thing for everybody. Please treat all guns like they're real and like they're loaded. We don't know what's fake and what's not. Don't assume you do. Don't point a gun at anything you're not willing to shoot and ultimately destroy. Any doubt, any question, call 911. We're going to come out. We're there to help you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here to say to everyone that we want to call out to our community, and we're calling out to our community for their help. We know a lot of times we're worried about whether or not we're going to get in trouble if we turn in a gun. I know that's probably something that's going to be going through the minds of a lot of individuals. But I have to tell you, after getting a call from the mother who lost her son at the shooting at the Country Burke Apartments, and she called after coming out of church service. She's leaning on her faith, she's leaning on her friends, and she's leaning on her family and friends and the community for help. She's actually calling out to the community to help her, to bury her child. This is something no parent wants to do. And so we don't plan, when you think about it, there's no one in the community that hasn't felt some compassion for that family of that 3-year-old that was lost by senseless gunpoint. Nobody prepares to bury a 3-year-old. So the trouble comes when we lose a child senseless to shooting. So don't be concerned about the trouble. We're asking for your help. You're looking at a person who was a victim. I lost my mother by senseless gunfire at 9 years old. It's very traumatic to families. It tears families apart. So the trouble comes. So don't worry about what kind of trouble will I get in if I turn in a weapon. The trouble comes if you don't turn in a weapon, because it destroys lives. And so we're standing here today as a unified community, asking for the community, if you're aware of these guns, please contact someone that you can trust, or someone here standing here today. We're really concerned about the safety of the people and the children in this community. So I just ask that you do that. Guns have no eyes, bullets have no eyes, and bullets don't have names on them. Bullets, loose shooting can affect anyone. So we're just asking, please, please, contact someone if you know of a gun. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Tracy Parsons, Director of the Access Initiative. And with the Access Initiative, we're charged with the desire to build what we call a trauma-informed system of care. And system of care principles talks about collaboration and coming together to support youth and families. Mental health, depression, suicide, anger, loss of hope. Many of young people in our community are suffering from these personal and community concerns and issues and challenges. The traumatic impact that everyone faces when we have these issues around senseless violence, gun violence, death, has a traumatic impact on all of us. But the young people themselves has a more severe, lifelong traumatic impact. In our society today, we glorify and glamorize guns, gun violence, toughness. All those are things that young people have a challenge with understanding how to balance those issues. And so it's important that as a community we come together to share the important, responsible, accountable messages around health, violence, support, and make sure that our youth are getting the right messages. So we've all come together in a very collaborative way to talk about the importance of gun safety, gun violence, but also understanding the impact of depression, mental health issues and challenges and what it has on our community and the individuals impacted by these senseless acts of violence. And so again, we've heard the messages from all the speakers today about coming together and supporting our youth and families. And so with access and all of us coming together, that's what we really want to make sure we get that message out today. This is one that concerns and impacts all of us. And the traumatic impact is significant. And so we have to really learn how to become a trauma-informed community to make a difference in changing these senseless acts.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Charles O'Nash, pastor at the New Hope Church of God in Christ here in Champaign, member of the clergy here in our community. I stand here today to say to you, life is precious. And when that life is lost, we cannot retrieve it. Part of our job as clergy is to minister to the people about life. And so today we stand united as a community because of the tragedy that has happened in the last 8 days. 3 lives are lost. And we cannot bring those lives back. But we must stand as a unified body, community, and address these issues that has caused these lives to be lost. Gun violence, gun safety. And our prayers goes out to the family who are now in bereavement. You heard each speaker, from the chief down to the clergy. We all are concerned. This is our community. We all have to live here. We all want each one of our loved ones to come back home each day from work, from school, from the playground. In order for that to happen, we must address this issue. And so we say to those of you who are listening, if you have a gun, don't know how to use that gun. If you have a child who has a gun, we want you to call your local law enforcement officer, and they will tell you what to do concerning that. If you don't feel safe by calling them, you can call one of the clergy, and we'll be more than glad to help you address that issue. But we don't want to stand behind the pulpit and bury another young person. That's why we're here today. God bless you.
So in closing, you've heard from everyone, and the message is pretty consistent. The local law enforcement officials, they're committed to working with the community, and the community is committed to working with the local law enforcement officials. Goal in mind is keeping our youth and community members safe and keeping our police officers safe. If community members want to get involved, they're asked to go to the ChampaignCommunityCoalition.org to get involved in standing with us. For those individuals who have questions about guns, perhaps what to do, first and foremost, we're asking that you treat all guns as if the weapons were loaded. Do not touch or handle weapons. Call 911 or your local law enforcement agency. There may be some in the listening audience who might need even more assistance. And so our pastors have stepped up today and have offered that assistance. If people have questions and they want to call one of the local clergy, they can call Reverend Ricky Parks at Pilgrim Missionary Baptist Church. Reverend Charles Nash, pastor of New Hope Church of God in Christ. Reverend Larry Lewis, Bethel AME. Reverend Lakevi Johnson, Jericho Missionary Baptist Church. Reverend Jerome Chambers, Liberty Temple Church of God. And Reverend Jimmy Holmes, Morning Star Free Will Baptist Church. These clergy have agreed to at least be accessible to citizens who may have questions or need to know what to do if there are weapons that they need to get to local law enforcement agencies. So this now concludes our news conference. The news release as well as the presenters in order will be available to you. And if you have questions or you need assistance, perhaps you want additional interviews, there are 2 staff in the back, myself will give to assist you with coordinating those interviews. Again, thank you for coming, and we appreciate the commitment that you also have in getting our message out. Thank you.